In their third consecutive game of a 3-game homestand, the Washington and Lee Generals will have another opportunity to upset a nationally ranked opponent. We say hello and welcome to the Holekamp Gymnasium in the Richard L. Duchossois Athletic and Recreation Center on the campus of Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. Thanks so much for joining us on the Washington Lee Sports Network. I'm Kaden Buzz, joined by my partner, Shane Riley. This is the third straight game for a very young squad where they have to square off against a nationally ranked opponent. Started with Randolph-Macon last Saturday, who had their way with the Generals. And then on Wednesday, the Generals had to play number 8 nationally ranked Hampton-Sydney. The Generals were able to keep it to a one-possession game with about 3 minutes left to go in the game, including a career high from Bryce Breeden. Breeden was 5 for 7 from the field with 15 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds. Fellow first year Connor Amorosi added 16 points on 5 for 13 from the field. John Laughlin had 12 points, making 4 3-point field goals. Colin Ryan, as per usual, on triple-double watch with 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 points. But in both of those games, there were significant scoring droughts, specifically coming out of the second half, Shane.
And that could be a big problem for this W&L team. Is a lot of the time they have struggles on the offensive end for certain stretches of the game that can cause them to fall behind, as we saw in that Randolph-Macon game. And sometimes it can just be too big of a mountain to climb for this Generals team that is so young, have so many first years on the team that have a big contributing role. But you have to know that Coach McHugh does a good job of making those adjustments game to game. And we saw that last out against Hampton-Sydney, where the Generals performed much better than they did against Randolph-Macon.
Then speaking of adjustments, senior Thomas Fagan, who was out Wednesday against Hampton-Sydney, the lone senior player that gets playing time on this Washington Lee Generals squad, is inserted in the starting lineup. Their most deadly three-point threat, 40% from 3 on the year, along with A.J. Thomas returning from a shoulder injury that he had. A.J. Thomas brings 11.3 points per game back to the Generals lineup in a little bit of a burst off of the bench, hopefully out of half, because like we mentioned, Shane, the Generals had 1 point in their first 10 minutes of the second half against Randolph-Macon and only 3 points in their first 10 minutes of the second half against Hampton-Sydney, so something's definitely going to have to change. Then for the Quakers, they came into Wednesday, winning 7 of their last 8 games versus the really talented Virginia Wesleyan Marlin squad. But as the SID report said, they really were punched in the mouth by Virginia Wesleyan. Virginia Wesleyan held Guilford to season lows in points, field goals, rebounds, and really in a wire-to-wire victory. And Shane, how is Guilford going to get back on track against a really young Washington and Lee team that's looking for an upset against a nationally ranked opponent?
Yeah, of course, as you said, W&L coming off a great performance as we saw last time out. And Guilford, perhaps not exactly what they were hoping for against Virginia Wesleyan, but similar with Coach McHugh, he has the ability to make adjustments. Coach Tom Palumbo for the Guilford Quakers, he's been around the block. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. He's going to have his team ready to play a good game today, get back on track, and try to put some points up on the board against a Generals team that can often struggle.
The Guilford squad is currently ranked number 5 in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Of course, the ODAC, always a powerhouse for basketball. This Guilford squad was in the Final Four, facing against Hampton-Sydney, who was just here on Wednesday. Top to bottom, the ODAC standings go Hampton-Sydney, Roanoke, Randolph-Macon, Virginia Wesleyan, Guilford, Ferrum, Lynchburg, Averett, Bridgewater, and W&L all the way down there at 10. So the top 6 teams in the ODAC currently are only separated by 1.5 games. Guilford and the Generals both have had really tough stretches. We've already mentioned the Generals stretch moving down here. The last 4 games have just been brutal, going against Virginia Wesleyan, Randolph-Macon, Hampton-Sydney, and now Guilford. That's 3 nationally ranked opponents in a Virginia Wesleyan squad that will probably be nationally ranked. So as they move down the stretch, both teams are going to be looking to pick it up. We'll step aside now as we get ready for the national anthem and ready to go here. Thanks for joining us on the Washington Lee Sports Network. Welcome back to the Richard L. Duchessois Athletic and Recreation Center here on the campus of Washington and Lee University. It's almost game time here between number 24, 11-4, 5-2 in ODAC play, the Guilford Quakers, against your W&L Generals, who are 3-11 on the year and 1-4 in ODAC play. Time to meet the starting lineups here on the campus of Washington and Lee with some ODAC action here. So now for the starting lineup for the number 24 Guilford College Quakers. First, it's going to be a 5'10" graduate student from Durham, North Carolina, number 2 Dawson Edwards. A 6'2" junior from Apex, North Carolina, number 3 Gabe Proctor. A 6'7" senior from McLeansville, North Carolina, number 10 Caleb Farish. A 6'10" senior from Apex, North Carolina, number 15 Luke Proctor. And then inserting into the lineup for an injured Nick Farrar, who did not dress today, is a 6'2" graduate student from Douglasville, Georgia, number 33 Chase Ellis. Now for the home Generals. Generals are 3-11 on the year, 1-4 in ODAC play, 1-5 here at home. It's going to be first a 6'2" senior from New York, number 3 Thomas Fagan. A 6' junior from Alexandria, Virginia, number 4 John Laughlin. 6'4" junior from Richmond, Virginia, number 11 Colin Ryan. A 5'11" first year from Memphis, Tennessee, number 12 Jackson Ransom. Rounding it out for the Generals is their leading scorer, which is a 6'5" first year from Arlington, Virginia, number 15 Connor Amorosi. Both teams are getting squared away in the huddles. And Shane, do you have a couple keys to the game for both the Guilford Quakers and the W&L Generals?
Yeah, for the Generals today, it's going to be about getting off to a good start, trying to stay consistent, trying to get the ball moving on offense and get good looks on that offensive side of the ball to try to not fall behind and get in some of those slumps offensively that we've known for them to do. And for Guilford, it's going to be about playing the basketball that they played all season long. Last game, obviously, they got punched in the mouth, as we talked about, but they played consistent basketball all season long. That's why they're 24th in the nation. As I talked about earlier, Coach Tom Palombo, in his 22nd season, he has a lot of experience. He knows how to coach these guys up, and they'll be ready to play ball today.
Getting set to tip is going to be the 6'5" first year, number 15 Connor Amorosi for the Generals, and then Caleb Farish, who's a 6'7" senior, a little bit first year versus senior. Battle of the vet versus the rookie, and Farish wins it for the Quakers. Again, no Nick Farrar here today, the Division I transfer that's averaged almost 17 points per game on efficient play. Ellis, who got the start, going right at Colin Ryan and putting it in.
Yeah, Ellis, really good physical play there, just using his strength, putting his body right into Ryan there and getting an easy 2.
Generals go to Thomas Fagan, their lone senior on this roster. Laughlin looking for someone, finds Ryan. Colin Ryan is the Generals' best passer, and there he finds Laughlin for 3, who can't knock it down. Ellis will smartly let it roll out of bounds.
Yeah, good look there for Laughlin. Couple steps behind the arc, just not able to get that ball to fall. But good look for the Generals there. Good passing, trying to find a spot through that man-to-man defense that the Quakers were playing.
Colin Ryan leading the ODAC in assists per game at 4.4. He's coming off an 8-assist game where he found John Laughlin, who nailed 4 out of his 12 3-point field goal attempts. He started off cold, but Laughlin heated up down the stretch against Hampton-Sydney. Now Proctor going right at Ryan. Elevates over but can't knock it down. It'll skid right out of bounds, out of Colin Ryan's hands. Looks like he's saying something to Connor Amorosi.
Yeah, and Edwards there with some good hustle trying to chase down that board, forcing Ryan to get a fingertip on it and knock that ball out of play, keeping the possession with the Quakers.
Ellis going to Edwards, and Connor Amorosi got in there. But the far side referee will say it stays Quaker ball.
And you always like to see that good active hands on defense, especially from your first-year star, putting in the effort. Those little tips, it may not mean too much, but keeping the Quaker offense not set and forcing them to inbound the ball once again.
Edwards finds Gabe Proctor, goes back to Edwards for 3, and he knocks it down to give the Quakers a 5-0 lead early on. You can see the Generals are trying to go through Colin Ryan right now. Finds Fagan. Fagan tees up for 3 but can't knock it down. Generals, such a 3-point reliant team, second in the ODAC in 3-point attempts per game, but they're only shooting a 30% clip on the air. Ellis takes a shot at it, but can't knock it down.
Yeah,
Ryan will attack.
For the Generals on this possession, you want to see some ball movement there as Amorosi gets fouled underneath. But that last possession, keeping the ball out on the perimeter, you want to get the ball inside and out to try to get some of those open looks. You can see that sometimes the Generals maybe get a little impatient on offense, but a foul here and a chance to get something off of a set inbound play.
That's what Colin Ryan was just trying to do. Trying to get it inside for Amorosi, who is their leading scorer. Finds Laughlin on the backdoor cut. Back to Fagan. Back to Laughlin and Ryan at the top of the key. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Laughlin, pump fake, can't knock it down. He got Proctor up into the air. Here comes the other Proctor.
An excellent pump fake there from Laughlin. Looks like he had himself surprised a little bit, though, on his shot as well. Didn't look fully set, and the shot was off target.
Here's Farish, uber athletic. Then Proctor leading the ODAC in three-point percentage. Back to Farish. Knocks down a deep three as Amorosi couldn't quite get just enough of a contest onto it. Ransom tries to retaliate fast. Out for Laughlin again from three, but can't knock it down. Generals 0 for 3 on three-point attempts
and
already.
Right now the difference is just the Quakers are knocking down their shots, knocking down open looks and getting them. The Generals have done a good job of getting some open looks, but just can't hit anything so far from the field.
Quakers, one of the best three-point shooting teams in all of Division III. Speaking of best three-point shooters, this is the best one in the ODAC as Proctor just gave it up to Farish. Edwards chucks but can't find it, and Ellis gets a board. Looks like Farish was out of bounds right in front of the Generals bench. You saw the entirety of the bench get up as now some substitutes are in for the Generals. Coach McHugh loves to keep that bench so small. A.J. Thomas, Bryce Breeden inserted into the game, along with Joe Ryan, who will be the inbounder. The lone two starters left on the court for the Generals are Colin Ryan and Connor Amorosi.
And you got to think for the Generals, having Thomas back will be such a big lift for them offensively and defensively. A very well-rounded player. We'll see if he's able to make an impact and get some points on the board.
You can see he has a compression sleeve on his left shoulder. A.J. Thomas has been injured. Amorosi attacking Farish. Got stripped by Edwards, and Edwards is going to have a clean look unless Colin Ryan can get there, but he can't. Edwards putting in, and all of a sudden, the Quakers are out to a 10-0 run and a 10-0 lead just 4 minutes into this game. What have you been seeing going wrong for the Generals and going right for the Quakers, Shane?
Well, right now the Quakers are really just making their shots, and the Generals are just not doing that on their side of the ball. But on that last possession there, you saw Amorosi with the shot clock winding down, trying to go at his defender, but Edwards, a really nice heads-up play, coming up to steal the ball and get out on the break. The Quakers right now are just playing heads-up basketball, taking advantage of what the Generals are giving them, and off to a 10-0 lead early, 4 minutes into this game.
Generals are 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. We already mentioned that the Generals are very three-point reliant. They look to get shots from outside of the arc because they are such an undersized team. The tallest two starters are Connor Amorosi and then Colin Ryan. Colin Ryan leading the team in rebounds per game at 7.8, but he was actually the Generals' point guard last year. That just shows what they lost in terms of both height and just veteran talent, trying to rebuild it.
Yeah, and when you're in a rebuilding phase with so much young talent, sometimes you have stretches like this where it is a struggle offensively or defensively, but it's all about working through it, trying to keep improving and trying to build upon your team and what you already know that you can do.
Colin Ryan going back to Bryce Breeden twice, playing a little bit of two-man game. Find Amorosi for the three, and he knocks it down to give the Generals their first points of the game.
For the Generals there, Coach McHugh calling that timeout, just trying to calm the team down a little bit. Right out of that, they're able to get a good look from three and knock it down. We'll see how the Quakers respond now.
That's what you love to see out of your team, just responding as Edwards is left open from three but can't capitalize. Colin Ryan comes down and he wants to push, then slows down as he crosses half court. Thomas was looking for Amorosi, who has Edwards mismatched onto him. Colin Ryan going to the left hand but can't finish. Luke Proctor now against Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan knocks it out, but it skirts through the hands of Amorosi and finds Edwards. Breeden gets beat to the basket, and what a bucket there for Gabe Proctor.
Yeah, Ryan with a very heads-up play there, knocking the ball out, unfortunately, right off the fingertips of his fellow teammate, and then Proctor there with a really nice cut, slashing to the rim.
Thomas going back to Colin Ryan. Finds Ryan to the corner for Breeden. Here's Breeden's first shot of the game, and he knocks it down, picking up right where he left off against Hampton Sydney. Bryce Breeden was the Generals' most efficient scorer, 4 for 6 from 3, 5 for 7 from the field. Career highs in rebounds, assists, and points. Amorosi, some defense, and he might have gotten a block, but it looks like it's going to stay there with a foul on the ground. It might be Joe Ryan, and yes, it will be. Coach McHugh's all the way out onto the floor after a timeout. That's going to bring us to our first media timeout as we'll step aside and be back here with some more Ode action on the other side. Here in Holekamp Gymnasium, where the number 24 Guilford College Quakers are facing off against the Washington and Lee Generals. Quakers out to a quick 12-6 lead. They first had a 10-0 run and had a 10-0 lead, but the Generals have since responded with 2 threes, Shane.
Yeah, the Generals starting to get some better looks offensively, starting to hit those looks, and most importantly, getting some deflections on defense, starting to make this Quakers team feel uncomfortable and getting back into this game.
Colin Ryan defending Furr. Back to Proctor as Bobby Samples and Furr are both into the game for the first time. Connor Amorosi with some defense on Farish, and it'll be Generals basketball after it bounces out. And it looked like that might have been a foul on Connor Amorosi.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there from Amorosi on Farish there. He's still able to get up and get a nice look. Just the ball just rolled off the edge of the rim, but Amorosi probably got away with one there, as you said, Kaden.
You can see how talented of a player Farish is. So athletic and can stretch the floor at 6'7". As Ransom loses it. Thomas will dive onto it and grab it. It's going to be a tie-up possession arrow. Will stay with the Generals.
It's good hustle there for Thomas to get on the floor and save the turnover there from Ransom, but
some of what Thomas brings you. He's been a really good scorer this year, but last year hitting a big shot against Randolph-Macon, but really putting in everything he can on the hustle side of things, whether it be rebounds or loose balls like that. Here's Thomas, straightaway 3. Can't knock it down, but Gordon will get it back off the tip. Ryan to Laughlin, back to Ryan. Attacking. Finds Ransom right underneath the basket. He slips, somehow gets out to Gordon, to Thomas. Thomas goes up and puts it in.
And Thomas there right into the face of Farish, using his strength to get up and get a bucket, but a couple of the chances there earlier on that cut from Ransom. Generals just see these passes a little bit earlier. They'd be able to get some better inside looks, but great shot there from Thomas.
Colin Ryan and Furr going at it. Colin Ryan wins that battle and gets the defensive rebound. Now it looks like Caleb Furr is going to try to full court press Colin Ryan. Finds John Laughlin. You can see A.J. Thomas wants it again. Thomas kind of left with nowhere to work with that pass from Dakota Gordon. A little bit too cluttered underneath the basket.
And Farish on that possession for the Quakers played excellent off-ball defense. He did a good job coming up when Laughlin got it on the top of the key on the three-point line, not letting him take that shot, and then sliding back underneath the hoop, crowding Thomas down there and forcing the turnover.
Cody Clayton into the game for the first time. Clayton's a junior from Cary, North Carolina. Edwards finds Clayton right away. He'll leave it off for Farish. Farish, another three from that wing spot, and he knocks it down again.
And Farish is just doing it all right now on both sides of the floor. Big physical player. And, of course, as you said, stretching the floor, knocking down a couple threes. Big contributor so far for the Guilford Quakers.
Farish is one of the two returning starters from last year's Final Four squad. You can see that veteran presence that he has. Thomas gets fouled outside of the arc. Initially, it looked like a block, but it looked like Caleb Furr came down onto Thomas.
Yeah, on that shot there. It's clean. It looked like up on top, but as you said, a little bit coming down onto Thomas, getting some contact there. Official right there sees it, gives him the call, and now 3 shots for Thomas at the line.
A.J. Thomas in his first game back after being out for a couple weeks with a shoulder injury. Again, you can see that compression sleeve adjusting it at the free throw line right now. Thomas, a 71% free throw shooter, knocks down the first, but can't make the second.
And it's been a little bit of a problem area for the Generals this season, only shooting 66% from the line, so certainly leaving something to be desired there. Plenty of points have been squandered at the line for this team, which is another contributing factor to some of the slumps that they've had offensively.
That's what really happened down the stretch against Hampton-Sydney, missing 5 straight free throws when they were within a possession. Thomas can't make the third. It's going to be Edwards bringing it over again, running the point for this squad, working against Thomas. Samples one-on-one with Ryan. Step back 3 is good from Bobby Samples.
The Quakers continue to show their deadly three-point shooting, up to 50% now after that shot from the three-point arc and just cutting it up outside against this Generals team.
Another foul against Caleb Furr. That's back-to-back possessions with a foul for Caleb Furr. He's got 2 already, and we'll see what Coach Palombo wants to do. A.J. Thomas will be out. Amorosi back into the game. Bobby Samples, a 6'2" graduate student, shooting 47 from three-point range, 47%, I should say, from three-point range. To go along with Gabe Proctor's 45 and Dawson Edger's 42. So many deadly shooters on this Guilford squad. Amorosi going to work, trying to knock down the tough mid-range shot over Farish, but can't get it to fall. Dawson Edwards against Amorosi, finds Bobby Samples again, who's true from 3.
Yeah, and they're Breeden just giving him way too much room. You got to understand the guy that you're guarding. He just hit a 3 on that last possession, and clearly he's hot today with the second 3 back-to-back possessions.
Thomas Fagan finds Ransom, but just no room to work at all for this Generals offense. You can see Thomas Fagan putting up a 3 and responding. It'll be a timeout called by Coach Chris McHugh. No signal yet. 30-second timeout, so we will stay here. Thomas Fagan knocking down his first 3 on 2 attempts. Now the Generals 3 for 7 already today. Shooting it well from 3, but they're down 9.
Yeah, as you said, though, on the defensive side for the Quakers, really suffocating defense, forcing Fagan to take that outside shot, and just excellent skill from him. Good touch, knocking that deep ball down with the hand right in his face. But as you said, the Generals shooting particularly well from three, but really you got to look at the numbers. Quakers shooting 55%, 5 for 9 from beyond the arc, and Farish and Samples both 2 for 2 and both hot, taking pretty much just pull-up jumpers right in the face of a Generals defender and knocking them down.
We'll see what Coach Chris McHugh can drop, whether it might be some full-court pressure to try to just slow down this Guilford offense. Bobby Samples 2 for 2 in the last 2 possessions from three, bringing him to over 50% on the year from three. Gotta know you can't let 34 get open along with really anybody in a red shirt. Guilford averaging 40% from three on the season, really one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation. Edwards finds Ellis, who finds Sample. Amorosi's right up in Sample's grill now. Not letting him get anything. Edwards and Amorosi going at it, and Amorosi keeps getting switched on to defenders. We'll go against Ellis, and Ellis puts it down.
And Amorosi did just about all he could without fouling there, but Ellis just too soft, too strong near the cup, and finishes nicely.
Ellis is a transfer student in his 5th year from Berry College. Here's Fagan again. Can't knock it down.
And Ryan there on the rebound trying to draw a foul there.
And Samples might have gotten fouled by Amorosi, but it looks like Amorosi is pleading with the official. Maybe Samples kicked his leg out trying to draw the foul.
Yeah, to me that's pretty much what it looked like there. Samples just trying to pull up, thinking Amorosi was a little too close, but the official not going to give him that one, trying to draw the foul there, and the shot just way off target.
Now Alex Finney along with A.J. Thomas back into the game for the Generals. Ransom tries to go to the weak side, finds Ryan, and Ryan blows a layup, but Alex Finney was right there to clean it up.
And that's exactly what quick ball movement can do for this Generals team. Obviously undersized, but getting the ball moving around, getting the Quakers defenders out of position, and then Finney and Ryan in perfect position to get where they need to be to get the bucket.
How about that from Luke Proctor, going right at the defender and laying it in on the opposite end, and the Generals are back on offense. Two-man game between Ryan and Laughlin, and Ryan's going to take Proctor, trying to back him down. Ryan can't get it to fall, but Ransom was right there, and how about that from the 5'11" first-year Jackson Ransom, not only getting the offensive rebound, but putting it back in for 2.
And that's exactly why positioning and just all-around effort on the rebounding side of the ball matters. Most importantly, size sometimes is not a factor when you put yourself in the right place, and you saw that with Ransom there getting another easy 2.
Zone look from the Generals. They left Edwards open from 3, and Edwards is a 42% three-point shooter. That's not what you want to have if you're Coach McHugh, but bailed out by a miss finally.
And sometimes you'll almost be too wide open, having too much time to think about your shot and overcorrecting it or over-adjusting there, what we saw from Edwards.
Ryan and Ellis on the near side. Finding Thomas on the curl, and Thomas was left open, but he'll be fouled from behind by Farish. Thomas on the curl, rather roll, I should say, getting wide open. Farish trying to make a tremendous play, but couldn't.
Yeah, it's an interesting play there from the Generals. Almost a double screen there with Laughlin and Thomas. Thomas the one on the roll there. Laughlin stepping out, flaring out to the three-point arc, and Thomas left completely wide open. Farish, only thing he really could do was foul Thomas there.
Thomas sets back up at the line. He's got all 4 of the Generals' free throws today. Went 1 for 3 in his first trip, but he knocked down his first of 2 here. It's good on the second as well. A.J. Thomas is up to 5 points on the day, the Generals' leading scorer, while Caleb Farish and Bobby Samples both have 6 off of 2 3-point field goals made. Ransom and Ellis. Ransom trying to hold his ground, but just doesn't have the size to hang with the 6'3" graduate student.
And Ellis so far has not been afraid of anybody. The Generals have tried to put him on defense, posting up and backing down just about anybody on that General side and finding a lot of easy shots near the rim.
Laughlin, jab step, can't shake Proctor. Ryan right at Farish, goes up and lays it in.
What great body control there from Ryan, elevating, waiting for Farish to fall back down on his block attempt and putting that ball into the cup. General's getting a lot of nice looks. Really, both teams getting good looks inside now.
Ellis and Ryan now one-on-one isolation. Ellis went at Ryan, and it's going to be a charge. How about that from Colin Ryan, able to hang still and draw a charge on Chase Ellis.
Yeah, Ryan just stayed right in front of him. Ellis, you could see, almost dropped the shoulder there a little bit like a running back and plowed right into Ryan's chest, knocking him on the floor, and Ryan picking up a nice charge call.
That's going to bring us here to our second media timeout. We'll be back right on the other side of this with the rest of the second half. Back here in Holekamp Gymnasium on the campus of Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, with some action here between number 24 Guilford as Washington and Lee trails Guilford by 7. Just over 6 minutes left in the first half. Ransom taking on Edwards. Amorosi, top of the key, going against Farish, gets right into him and looked like there was some contact there, but nothing doing. Proctor able to go up, but chased down, blocked by Bryce Breeden, and he'll be called for the foul. The Generals bench erupts.
I'm not sure about that call. It looked like he got all ball there, but the official obviously had a different angle than we have up here, and could have been a little contact on that hand, giving the Quakers their first free throws of the night.
This is not the man you want at the free throw line for the Quakers. Proctor, though, missing the first. Again, the top three-point shooter in the ODAC, 80% on the season, but misses the front end of that one. Dakota Gordon now into the game as Proctor gets set for his second, along with Colin Ryan.
Yeah, both Proctors for the Quakers shooting just about 80%. They're overall, as a team, they shoot about 68% from the line, so not too much better than what the Generals are producing, but they certainly have a few guys on their team that can get it done. But Proctor misses both.
And that might come back to bite Proctor. You know, can nail those threes, but those free throws are cheap ones. Now a chance for Breeden to punch back, and he does! Bryce Breeden with his second three-point make of the day. He's 2 for 2 from the field, 2 for 2 from the three, and continuing his hot streak from beyond the arc. Amorosi on Proctor. Proctor can't knock it down, and Ellis comes away with a strong rebound. Luke Proctor against Thomas Fagan. Back to Gabe Proctor. Colin Ryan pokes it away, and it's going to be Generals basketball as they trail by 4. Dakota Gordon tees up for a deep three, but can't find his shot. Dakota Gordon, such a great three-point shooter in practice. We hear a ton about him here on the campus of W&L, but he just has not been able to find it. in his first full season playing for the Generals. Farish now, right over Dakota Gordon, and that'll extend the Quakers' lead back to 7.
And Farish is doing a really nice job of picking his times when to shoot. He's not coming down every possession necessarily asking for the ball, but when he's ready for it, he's really knocking down his shots and making the Generals pay.
Amorosi can't get the fadeaway right in the middle of the lane to go down. And Proctor wants to slow the pace. Farish on Breeden. Farish can't get it to go, and Breeden tracks down the rebound.
That's his first miss from beyond the arc today. The Generals now coming up, looking to slow it down. I look for them to get back to Breeden here. He's been the hot hand as the past couple games and been the hot hand today as well so far.
Ryan getting into the lane. Spin move with some contact over Bobby Samples.
Yeah, you don't need the outside shot, though, if you have some physical play inside like that from your best all-around player in Ryan.
Breeden on the defense against Proctor. Proctor backing him down, though. Getting into the lane and can't knock it down. That's going to be off of Proctor's foot, and the Generals bench is fired up.
And Proctor over there trying to plead or reason with the referee a little bit, arguing that perhaps there was some contact there for a foul, but it looked like good physical play to me both ways. And that one just unfortunately for Proctor bouncing off his foot, giving the possession back to Washington and Lee.
A.J. Thomas inserted into the game along with Alex Finney and John Laughlin, all back in. Thomas taking the ball over half court, finding Finney. Strong passes here from the Generals. You can tell they're playing with some confidence now. Amorosi, spin move, fade away in the lane, air ball, and Proctor will come down with the rebound.
And Amorosi now is really struggling on the offensive end. He had an early bucket, early three in this game, I should say, rather, but a couple of those mid-ranges have just not been able to go. Still just the 1 3-pointer for him today.
Can see Coach McHugh not happy with his defense, and now no one there to be the inbounder, and it's going to be another full timeout from Coach McHugh. Coach McHugh not happy with his defense as it finally seemed like the Generals were stringing something together. Looked like there might have been a missed point on the scoreboard. Still saying 30-25 now. There's the extra deuce, 32-25. 7-point game. But going into the final 3 minutes of this first half stretch, you have to be pretty confident with the way all your young players are playing and the way they were able to respond against after the first 10-0 run from the Quakers to open up the game.
Yeah, and if you take away that early 10-0 run before Coach McHugh called timeout about the 16th minute, the Generals would be up in this game. But as we're talking about, there are the stretches still in this game where the Generals' offense has gone a little cold. You can see that sometimes there's lapses in judgment on some plays. As a defensive end there, an easy 2 for the Quakers inside, and then nobody getting in there to take the inbound from Amorosi. Amorosi getting frustrated and forcing Coach McHugh to take his timeout. So obviously the team is playing quite well as this game's gone on, but their young side is still showing through, and the Quakers have done a good job of taking advantage of that at moments in this game.
One player you're really going to need to step up is your top scorer. It's a lot to ask a first year to do more than Connor Amorosi has done, but if you're Coach McHugh, these are the opportunities playing against nationally ranked opponents, a team that played in the Final Four last year, that you really want to test your first years, make them develop, make them make great decisions. And Connor Amorosi has not gotten out to a hot start, but I'm sure Coach Chris McHugh has a lot of confidence in him as a pure scorer, as he averages over 15 points per game already in his first season in Lexington.
And something for Amorosi also to consider is if your shot's not falling, sometimes acting as a decoy on a certain play as the top scorer can be just as beneficial, if not more so, towards your team. And Thomas gets an unlucky bounce there.
A.J. Thomas not happy with that call. Looked like Proctor stripped him clean of it. Might have to take a look at it right here, right on the next break, we might be able to see officials having the option to go to the monitor and actually look at our screen, Shane, but opting not to. These are the critical possessions you really need if you're the Generals. Need to find a way to get a stop here. Keep this lead single digits. Amorosi and Farish going at it. Farish with a step back three, and it's good. Caleb Farish, 4 for 5 on the day from beyond the arc.
That was a little James Harden-esque there with the step back. A nice move there, using his gather step, if you will, to get behind the arc, and then just absolutely true and clean right through the net.
And the lead back up to 10 for Guilford as Colin Ryan out of control in the paint can't make a miraculous shot fall. And again, another player left open, but it's Bobby Samples instead who can't get it to fall. First time we've seen him miss all day. Coach McHugh letting his team know the play, and it'll be Colin Ryan to direct traffic. Finding Laughlin in the corner. Over Farish, John Laughlin can't get it to fall. It'll be off the back iron and straight into the hands of Caleb Furr. And now it's going to be a timeout from Tom Palumbo in the Guilford College Quakers, trying to extend this lead to beyond double digits, but again, trying to keep this lead single digits for the Generals, or get it back to single digits, I should say, has to be at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, the Generals team, again, falling into a little bit of a slump here the past couple minutes. Couple nice possessions and nice shots from Guilford Quakers players, but the Generals, again, got to keep their composure, understand that it's only the first half, and they still have time to come back into this game and try to reestablish some of the good defensive play that we saw earlier, getting good rotations and getting good ball movement on the opposite side of the ball on their offensive end.
Bryce Breeden has only seen the floor for 8 minutes today, but he's 2 for 2, continuing a stretch, and he'll be back up off the bench. 5 for the Generals are going to be Ransom, Amorosi, Finney, Breeden, Ryan. For Guilford, it's going to be Samples, Proctor, Edwards, and Farish. Brothers working together, and it looks like it's going to be the older one in the paint going against the first year, and Ransom, and gets an easy deuce to fall. Finney finding Amorosi. Again, working against Farish. He's been one of the best defenders in the ODAC this season. Breeden can't make it fall, and that's his first miss in this game. Ransom and Finney both in there fighting for that rebound. It's been pretty clean. Only 2 fouls on the Generals, 5 on Guilford. So you have some fouls to give here if you're Coach McHugh. Ransom and Proctor finding Samples. Back to the other Proctor. Can't make it fall, and Jackson Ransom skies for the board. Yeah, shot clock turned off now, 23 seconds to go.
You got to think here for the Generals, they're going to try to run it out, try to get a last-second shot to bring it within 10 or underneath 10 points. Don't want to give the Quakers another chance here to stretch their lead.
It'll be Ryan and Amorosi. Amorosi vacates, and Ryan can't get it to Alex Finney. They'll turn the ball over with 5.3 seconds left on the clock.
And that's really what the Quakers have done excellent today, is getting ball pressure up on the Generals when they need it. And that time forcing Ryan to make an errant pass because of the pressure that he faced. And they steal a possession, trying to add to their lead before the half ends.
Finney initially was going to pressure, but then backing up. Finney will work against Proctor. It'll be the other Proctor from way downtown, and he can't get it to fall. Guilford's going to take a 12-point lead into the half after the Generals closed it to as close as 4 initially, after Guilford got out to that 10-0 lead to start the game.
Yeah, the Generals did a good job of responding after that quick 10-0 run to start the game for the Quakers. The Quakers found themselves in a little bit of a scoring slump as well, but Farish's consistent play, 4 for 5 from 3, really had carried them through that first half and put a lot of pressure on the Generals and made it hard for them to come back into this game as they now suffer the 12-point deficit.
Leading scorers for the Guilford College Quakers is Caleb Farish, 4 for 6 on the day from the field, 4 for 5 from 3. is also leading the team in rebounds, tied for the lead in steals and blocks, doing it from all areas for the Generals. Couple players with over 5 in A.J. Thomas and Bryce Breeden. Bryce Breeden 2 for 3 from 3 on the day. Colin Ryan putting together another nice all-around first half with 4 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. But we'll step aside here now as both teams head into the locker rooms, try to come up with a game plan to close this one out here. Thanks for joining us here on the Washington Lee Sports Network. I'm Kaden Buss, joined by Shane Riley. Join us for the second half, coming up right after this.
Inclusion means making what we offer here at W&L accessible to the broadest possible swath of students that are out there.
W&L has a phenomenal financial aid program, which allows so many more students to come here.
I've been very fortunate to have access to W&L's financial aid system, and they definitely want to make sure that students have access to all kinds of opportunities, and the cost is not a barrier for, say, a spring term abroad.
Once you come, no matter your financial background, we are going to ensure that you have access to all of the opportunities that form the W&L educational experience.
The Johnson Scholarship is a scholarship for leadership and integrity. I am very grateful for all of the aid that it's given me to get to go to college for free, but also with the scholarship, we get a summer stipend.
W&L finds ways to support students, and that makes my job a lot easier to have students who are supported and feel like this is a place where they can succeed.
We ensure that they have funds and resources that allow them to take part in research and internships and all kinds of summer opportunities.
Being able to graduate debt-free is such a privilege.
It is life-changing if a student can graduate without loan debts.
You kind of have a fresh slate. You're not going into the world with debt that you need to worry about and all of that pressure on top of the normal post-graduation pressure.
Getting the opportunity to come to an amazing school like W&L and knowing that I will graduate and not have all this debt has completely changed my life. My parents still can't really believe it, and it's just, I love it so much, and I love W&L.
Lastly, one word to describe your team this year.
I think we're pretty connected. We're a connected group, so I'm excited for the year.
Energetic.
Resilient.
Dogs.
Tenacious.
Young. I would say loyal. I think we'd all go to bat for each other and love working and going to war for each other as well. And I think that shows every day.
Different.
Resilient.
We're hungry. Yeah, we're ready to eat.
Bunch of dogs.
Growth, because we're just constantly growing and pushing each other to be better.
Machine.
One word that describes us is active.
Dogs.
I think brotherhood is a good word. I think we're all a bunch of people that come together, and I think it's a really good environment with everybody supporting one another.
For the love of the game. That's what it's all about, they say. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team and the schools and communities we represent.
And for the many of us blessed with the strength to compete in sport at the college level, we understand that with what we were given comes a special obligation.
An obligation not merely to work towards a personal best in the classroom or in the sport we love, but rather an obligation to help those who have their own special needs and whose love for the game is no less intense.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. For Special Olympics athletes, victory belongs not only to those who first cross the line, but to all of those who compete and endure.
They are challenged in ways we cannot imagine. They are survivors who test themselves harder and with greater joy than we will ever know.
Since August of 2011, we and others from Division III campus communities have volunteered more than 250,000 hours, time away from the classroom and practice field, reaching across the country to coach and mentor Special Olympics athletes.
And to learn, as we all do, that in giving we receive so much more in return.
Sport ennobles us, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
Be part of it.
Get involved.
You can make a difference.
Student success goes far beyond grades. Yes, students want to come and they want to achieve in their classrooms, but they also want to learn all of those things that are going to stay with them for the rest of their lives.
I would say the majority of Washington and Lee students are, in addition to taking their classes, also at least part of 3 or 4 clubs.
When I got to this campus, I would have described myself as this really shy person who, yes, did theater and could perform on stage, but couldn't talk to people one-on-one. Now I'm the social chair of 3 different organizations on campus. Really, the transformation is just completely crazy.
While academics is first and we are student athletes, the professors here at W&L also want you to succeed in your athletic commitments. And so being able to work with the professors so you're able to get everything that you want out of your athletic commitments while also being academically successful as well.
I'm in a fraternity. It's been a really good opportunity, and I've grown really close with the guys who joined at the same time as me. Being around them being some of my best friends has really just allowed me to grow as though we were family together.
Of my really close friends, I would say that at least 2, if not 3 of them, I've met through the theater department. We get a lot of students who come in and do the shows, and so having friends that aren't necessarily theater majors but love to do the theater shows here makes it really special.
I sing in the Grace Episcopal Choir, where I've gotten to meet a number of people within the Lexington community, which has just been a super cool experience because Washington and Lee is so connected to Lexington, and so getting to be on both sides of it has just been an amazing experience.
Rockbridge is this beautiful rural setting. The campus kind of bleeds right into the rural areas with the back campus farm and things like that. And so students are often out and about taking advantage of our back campus forest, the farm, and then getting out into some of the forested areas.
Lexington comes alive during spring term. The outing club becomes really active, doing hiking trails through the mountains. You can float down the Maury, which is a river that runs through Lexington itself. It's a really great time to be in this part of the country.
We want students to feel good about what they're doing and how they're growing and how they are becoming the people they want to be. That's student success at W&L.
Who is one basketball player that's considered a top-tier player or an all-time great you think really isn't that good?
I think he's a good player, but I think players today are so good now that I think Allen Iverson is not that good. I think John Morant is a better player than Allen Iverson.
That's a take.
So this is actually, I'm going to take it with the new rhetoric. I feel like new age people think T-Mac is way better than he was. He didn't win anything. He was a great scorer and all, but his peak lasted maybe 4 years. He had some great moments, great athlete ahead of his time, but I just don't think he has a place among the greats.
I think Rudy Gobert is the most overrated defensive player in the history of basketball.
Magic Johnson he was not that good. He couldn't play today.
I think Wilt Chamberlain is not that good.
I'm going to go with Ben Simmons because I feel like he gets a lot of love, but really I don't think he's that good because he kind of struggles with the shooting and the free throws and has had some trouble with being able to play.
Who is one basketball player that's considered a top-tier player or an all-time great that really isn't that good?
See, I'm probably going to go with future Generals Hall of Famer, if you want to call him that, Rob DeCibio. Rob's definitely got all the stats. He's had some great games, but, couldn't really ever get over the hump and win that big one. So I'd probably say Rob DeCibio.
I would say Bob Cousy's overrated.
I don't think Giannis is that good. I think he's just tall. I'm going to go with Jason Williams. I think that people give him a bunch of love because he can do cool passes and stuff, but his stats aren't that good. He couldn't really shoot, and sometimes he did too much. Jordan's overrated.
You serious?
I'm gonna say Bill Russell. I mean, he won a lot, but in terms of skill and like what he could actually do on the court, I think he's overrated.
I'd probably say if I had to go with Giannis, probably.
I think a lot of people, after the summer, a lot of guys are down on him. I'm still pretty down on him. Jason Tatum, I don't think he's very good. Don't think he has that killer instinct, and had to have Brown save the day in the finals. So not a big Tatum guy.
Jaylen Brown. Care to explain? Just no left hand.
Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain are both extremely overrated. Like, we have film from everything from that time period. We still haven't seen the 100-point game. Also, Bill Russell won 11 rings of playing against plumbers, basically. I feel like somebody like, definitely Giannis is better than both of them. I'm trying to think, Joel Embiid better than both of them, Jokic better than both of them. I'm trying to think, like, I feel like if you drop someone like Brooke Lopez back then, he's doing the same stuff. So, I mean, I really don't.
Going on, I wanted to say Mason Plumlee, good enough to beat Bill Russell?
Mason Plumlee has his moments, but I'm not going that far.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
Passion's love. Passion is love for what you do. Because I think when you face challenges, it comes down to how much you want it and how much you love it. Passion is what keeps you going forward. Seeing so many people that were like-minded and so hardworking in their sport and academics, being surrounded by like-minded people makes you want to be more passionate. I think it pushes you to a different level that maybe you didn't think you had. And you can do the best of both worlds and love all of it.
A good citizen is someone who wants to make a positive impact, both in their communities and in the world around them. The Division III approach is absolutely the best approach out there for amateur sport because it wants student athletes to explore all parts of who they are. Be successful in the classroom, be successful in competition, be successful in the community. So our student athletes learn what it means to strive for and attain success, but doing it the right way and being good citizens.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to.
Welcome back to Holekamp Gymnasium on the campus of Washington Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. Thanks for joining us on the Washington Lee Sports Network. I'm Kaden Buss, joined by Shane Riley. We've got an exciting half of second basketball on our hands here, Shane. Looking at some first half stats between number 24 nationally ranked Guilford College Quakers and the Washington and Lee Generals. Guilford has a 12-point lead, leading 37-25. They've outshot the Generals 50% to the Generals 34.6%. Guilford has been able to knock down threes, but it's been pretty consistent on both ends. 38.9% for Guilford. They started off really hot, but slowed down a little bit. And 4 for 11 from the Generals, with makes coming from, two makes I should say, coming from Bryce Breeden, a make from Thomas Fagan, and a make from Connor Amorosi. Guilford winning the rebounding battle 19-14 and 16-10 points in paint, but really no dominant in any one statistical category, just outshooting the Generals, and they're making shots that the Generals aren't, right, Shane?
And this is exactly what we talked about before this game tipped off, was whether or not the Generals will be able to find some consistency offensively, and that's they've had spells of consistent play, obviously, where they've been knocking down some shots and getting good looks, but as we're talking about, there really is no category that the Quakers truly have dominated in. Points off turnovers might be the only one you can point to where they're up 8-0 in that category, but that's not really the key determining factor of why the game is where it is. It really is coming down to shooting and consistency, and Guilford has been the better team so far in that category today.
It'll be the same 5 in for the Guilford Quakers to start the second half in Edwards, Proctor, Farish, Luke Proctor, and Chase Ellis. And the same 5 to start with the games for the Generals as well. And Thomas Fagan, John Laughlin, Colin Ryan, Jackson Ransom, and Connor Amorosi. Guilford College gets the ball to start the second half in with the possession era. And Ellis try to get downhill, but is stopped by Ransom. Fagan and Ellis on the inside, but an outside shot by Proctor to start off the second half for Guilford College, and that's not what you want to see if you're Coach McHugh.
And both the Proctor brothers towards the end of that first half started being more aggressive, taking outside shots and cutting to the rim. And the older Proctor brother there in Gabe knocking down, or sorry, rather, the younger Proctor and Luke knocking down the long-range shot there.
Laughlin can't get one to fall, and it'll be Fagan coming out for the defense on Gabe Proctor. Ellis trying to get downhill, runs into Amorosi. Amorosi standing his ground. Some good defense, but how about that from Chase Ellis? You can see him flexing, pointing to the weight room on that one.
And it's just more of the same that we saw from Ellis also in that first half, showing his aggressiveness and strength inside, but also the soft touch near the rim.
Amorosi straightaway 3 to respond, and that ends a 4.5-minute scoreless drought that spanned from the last 3.5 minutes of the first half in the first minute or so of this second half. Colin Ryan all the way out on Proctor, and he's going to launch. It's going to be an air ball right in front of Farish. The Generals now down 14. Guilford trying to protect that lead. Been able to do so with some superb three-point shooting. 8 makes on the afternoon.
And it really hasn't been Gabe Proctor's day from three-point range. Shooting 1 for 4 rather from beyond the arc, and that one just completely off the mark.
Amorosi against Farish. Out to Ryan. Ryan directing traffic. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Fagan launches and can't get it, but another offensive rebound from Jackson Ransom. Ransom going straight into Edwards, but can't get it to fall. It's the story of the night for the Generals offense. Ellis going straight into Colin Ryan, and there's going to be a foul on the floor. See if it's on Ryan or Ransom. It'll be called on Colin Ryan. Reach and foul as Ellis was getting downhill. Bryce Breeden now checking in for Thomas Fagan.
And for both teams, nobody really in foul trouble. Just the second foul, personal foul called against the Generals.
Amorosi and Laughlin in there. It's going to be an out of bounds because of John Laughlin's foot being on the baseline. So it'll stay Guilford ball. Reset to no reset on the shot clock. Going to 18 left. Possession never truly changed. They're going to stick with the 18. It's going all the way deep to Proctor, and no backcourt violation as you saw Coach McHugh begging for it. Maybe thinking Colin Ryan touched it. He doesn't think so. 10 to work on the shot clock. Out to Proctor, and he got an open lane but kicks it to Ellis. Blocking foul now on Colin Ryan.
And if we look back to that inbound pass that Coach McHugh was screaming for to be a backcourt violation, if Ryan had been paying attention to that, he would have easily picked that ball up, but he was focused more on the man he was guarding, and that one slipped right by him. He may have gotten a finger on it, so that might have been why the official didn't call the backcourt violation.
Colin Ryan reaching for his face. He might have some blood on him. A.J. Thomas is now in. Game held up so Thomas could tuck his jersey in. It's going to go an inbound play to Proctor, but he can't get it down. And there's going to be an off the ball foul, rather loose ball foul, I should say, on A.J. Thomas. It just seems like the Generals can't get off the floor from this defensive possession.
Yeah, Thomas there a little too physical on Gabe Proctor there, trying to grab the rebound, just going over the back. Can't do that. Official right there going to see it, and another chance for the Quakers to get some points.
Edwards into Proctor, and that'll skip right past into the backcourt. Nobody touching it, so it was allowed for no backcourt violation. Other Proctor takes a shot, can't get it in. Another offensive rebound now for Guilford College. This possession has seemed to span a minute and a half, if not more. And another three launch from Proctor, and they finally get one to fall.
Yeah, Proctor right now really starting to lock it in from three. His second of the half, had none in the first half. His brother struggling from back there, but he's certainly picking up the slack.
Breeden working against Proctor. Amorosi now. Poked away by Farish, almost loses it, but gains it back. Thomas wanted it. Breeden's gonna have to launch with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. The Generals offense has once again gone cold to start the second half.
This is shades of what we saw against Randolph-Macon. The Generals, I believe in the first 8 minutes of that game, were not able to find any sort of field goal. And they've already scored in this second half, but definitely struggling. Just the 1 3-point made.
Against Randolph-Macon last weekend, 1 point through the first 10 minutes of the second half, 3 points through the first 10 minutes of the second half on Wednesday against Hampton-Sydney. Now 3 points through the first 5 minutes of this first half. We'll see if Breeden can end that. And he gets fouled on a jump shot. It's going to be on Farish, it appears. Rather, check that. It will be on Dawson Edwards, his second foul of the day. It sends Bryce Breeden to the free throw line. Bryce Breeden, 80% from the free throw line on the year, a small sample size. You can't find the front end of that one.
Free throws are really where you can sort of find your rhythm sometimes offensively, or at least shooting the ball. And as we talked about earlier, the Generals not the best free throw shooting team, just 66% on the year, and that can also contribute to some of the struggles that they've had with consistency, scoring the ball and getting good offensive possessions.
Key moment here now. The Generals are down 17. They have to try to battle back, and Breeden misses both attempts.
And you got to think for the Quakers that it's going to be Luke Proctor here, the one going right to the cup.
Couldn't knock it down, and Finney comes down with it. Laughlin now, hands off to Thomas. Thomas trying to get downhill, kicks to Breeden. Laughlin to Ryan, dynamic duo, the two returning starters for this Generals squad. Ryan gets in, then gets an and one to end another scoring drought from the Generals. That one spanned about 3.5 minutes. Now Colin Ryan has a chance for a 3-point play the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, Ryan always so physical inside. Despite any height or size disadvantage, he'll always give you tough, strong play, filling in whatever role that he needs to, and oftentimes that ends up being the guy down low, catching some elbows and throwing a few around himself.
Proctor looking for Bobby Samples. Bobby Samples, such a superb three-point shooter, just like everybody else on this roster. Hand check foul is going to be called off the ball on Colin Ryan, and you can see to start towards the middle part of the second half, they're going to start closing this game down a little bit, calling it a little bit tighter.
And that foul actually called that one on Laughlin, pushing a little bit up onto Furr before he got the ball.
But now a foul will be tagged against Colin Ryan. That's going to be his third of the game. So some foul trouble for the Generals' best player. Amorosi checking in for Colin Ryan. Coach McHugh not taking any risks, not going to let Ryan pick up his fourth right away.
Yeah, certainly more fouls than we saw in that first half. Relatively clean play. Both teams really not fouling too much, but the Generals, especially here, giving some away to the Quakers.
Never really got into bonus territory in that first half. but already approaching that if you're the Quakers. Finney with the steal as he takes it away from Caleb Furr. Finney hands off to Thomas. See what Thomas can do. Started the game aggressive, got to the free throw line for 5 free throw attempts. Oh, Amoroski with the hook, and he gets to the rim.
Yeah, great move there from Amorosi, just getting right around Furr and then finding his way, slashing right to the cup. Some more points for Amorosi, trying to get himself on court.
Proctor unleashes from deep, but he can't get in. It's going to be off Laughlin. Looked like Samples hit the deck. Thomas checking on Samples. Laughlin couldn't grab that rebound. Now you're seeing the Generals' size also come back to bite them. A few possessions where they should have been running down the other end into their own front court. They've had to remain on defense.
Yeah, Guilford has certainly come out this half with an emphasis on the rebounding game. The Generals stole a few away from them in that first half, but Guilford trying to not allow that happen using their size to win that part of the game.
Proctor going right into the double team, and that one might be tagged on either Laughlin or Amorosi. It'll be Amorosi. Amorosi has no personal fouls on the game, and that will bring us to our first media timeout. We'll be right back on the other side of this with the home stretch of basketball here in Holekamp Gymnasium between number 24 Guilford and the W&L Generals. Here in Holekamp Gymnasium in the Richard L. Duchossois Athletic and Recreation Center on the campus of Washington Lee University. Thank you so much for joining us on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. I'm Kaden Buss, joined by my partner Shane Riley. It's going to be 2 free throws coming up for Gabe Proctor. Gabe Proctor missed 2 free throws in the first half, but traditionally a really good free throw shooter, 80% on the year, 45% from 3 on the season. He gets nothing but net on the front end.
And Proctor so far, unlike his brother Luke, Gabe struggled a little bit from the field today. Just 1 for 7, 0 for 6 from beyond the arc, but able to get 1 from the line there, but still just 1 for 4 now from the line, so definitely struggling, and uncharacteristic for him today to struggle so much.
And a tough day for the Odaks. Top shooter, also Guilford being out their top scorer, Nick Farrar. Generals within 13. As Connor Amorosi now will get 2. Foul's going to be credited against Bobby Samples. Amorosi also pretty solid free throw shooter for the Generals. 73% on the season, but the referees will instead say it's going to be on the ground and side out for John Laughlin. The legal screen will be called against John Laughlin. He extended those arms, must never have gotten set. It's just a brutal call for a team that's struggling offensively. Kind of sums up your day, right, Shane?
Yeah, those kind of calls often come sometimes out of frustration, just trying to clear space up for your teammate to get an open look when your team struggled to find those today. And Laughlin there just committing foul.
It's going to be bonus territory for the Quakers here on out. Samples couldn't get it to fall. Finney had the rebound, but it somehow got tapped out. Wonder if Furr somehow got his hands in, and Furr blows a layup. Ellis going straight up against Amorosi, and gets the foul call. Amorosi was in pretty good position, but some brutal foul calls now for the Generals.
And
Coach
right now on the defensive side of the ball on that possession, they just got sliced up through the middle. Good ball movement. Furr, obviously, he said, missed that layup, but then Ellis getting a good rebound underneath for getting a chance to get some points at the line.
You can tell offensive and defensive rebounding an issue for the Generals. They've allowed 10. One was just added more into the system. 10 offensive rebounds on the day. But somehow not being sliced with second chance points is a huge play right there from Cody Clayton off the bench, able to get the rebound and knock it off of Colin Ryan. Those are the hustle plays you love to see from young players like Cody Clayton off the bench.
And he got his teammates on his bench all excited throwing that ball off of the Generals player. And again, the Quakers have done such a good job, whether it's been offensive rebounds or however else, just winning possessions and getting extra chances.
Ellis and Thomas going at it. Ellis just powering through, and he's been the stable offensive contributor on the night, up to 11 points now.
Yeah, and Ellis has really just been unstoppable inside. He's gotten great looks and finished just about every single one, and Generals really have had no answer for his physical ability.
Fagan a launch, but he can't knock it down. Fagan having a little bit of a down season, had the flu, come back and just trying to get back into rhythm as a shooter. Samples wide open, can't knock it down. But how about that right there from Cody Clayton? Gets the offensive rebound, but they still can't capitalize. Only 7 second chance points on the night off of 11 offensive rebounds.
But even though they necessarily haven't capitalized as much as you might expect, given the difference in offensive rebounds, 12 now compared to just the Generals, 4, those kind of persistent play on the glass that carries over to every other aspect of your game, and that physicality can really take a toll on the other team. And we've seen that so far with the Generals. They've come out in the second half and really not played their best basketball, and as they find themselves now down by 16.
Colin Ryan directing traffic. Initially called for a pick on Thomas, but didn't want it. Breeden to Ryan. Ryan gets into the D, but fouled. Now that'll be 2 free throws coming up here for Colin Ryan.
And again, as we've been talking about all game, this is where the Generals can come back into the game to get some free points, get a free look at the cup, and not have to face that stifling defense that we've seen from Guilford today.
Colin Ryan has always struggled from the free throw line for the Generals. He's 53% on the season. It's really his Achilles heel for such a great all-around player and the Generals' best.
Again, the free throw struggle is just continuing to mount. Just about 40% on the day, and just not ideal numbers if you're Coach McHugh and this Generals team.
The Quakers working it around the perimeter. Good defense from Colin Ryan right there against Proctor. But it's going to be Farish launching over the 5'11 Ransom, and he knocks down his 5th three-point make of the night.
When Farish shoots these balls, he's almost just carefree about his shot, picking his way through the defense, getting a little bit of space for himself, and that's really all he needs. Farish.
Thomas left open from 3. He'll launch and nail a 3. That's going to be a timeout now. No signal from which side yet. Looks like it's going to be Coach McHugh and the Generals. Be a full timeout, but we'll stay here on the night for the Generals. 7 points from Colin Ryan, 8 from Connor Amorosi, 8 from A.J. Thomas and 6 from Bryce Breenan. Bryce Breenan made 2 3-point shots. A.J. Thomas with a 3 free throws and a 2-point field goal. Connor Amorose 3 for 7, but 2 for 2 from 3. That's what you like to see out of your first-year star. And Colin Ryan was 7, 5, and 2, kind of doing it every year. Hasn't been the great distributor, though, that we're used to.
Yeah, that can be a big problem for this Generals team. Only 6 assists on the night. They do lead in that category compared to Guilford, but Colin Ryan is such a big part of their team, creating space and creating open shots for his teammates. But Guilford have done such a good job with their rotations and keeping good ball pressure. That's just not allowed Ryan to really fit into the kind of play style that he wants, and that's contributed a lot to the Generals' struggles on offense.
Caleb Farish leading the way for the Guilford side with 15 points, 5 for 7 from the field. How about 5 for 6 from 3? That's what you love to see out of a 6'7" player, just unguardable. His last 3-point make, Jackson Ransom, was all up in his grill, but elevating, almost Kevin Durant-like.
Yeah, Farish has pretty much been creating all of his own shots. I believe only his first 3-pointer was straight off a catch-and-shoot opportunity, but all of his other ones have just been him creating a little bit of space for himself, pulling up, and as you said, Kevin Durant-like, just knocking him down right in the face of Generals defenders.
Cody Clayton in once again, working it to Luke Proctor. Thomas Fagan now coming out with some full court pressure, but there's going to be an official timeout.
For the Generals, another first-year checking into the game for the first time, Zach Duncan from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Looks like the officials might have made a mistake. It's supposed to be a side out, or it could have been a time mistake. 4 seconds off the shot clock already. It's Edwards putting the moves on Ransom and is able to gain some space, but backs it out and finds Proctor. Off the ball play for Farish, and he's 6 for 7 on the night.
Yeah, this has really just been dominance from Farish at this point. Another one off the catch and shoot there. Doesn't matter if he's creating himself or catch and shoot opportunities, they're all going in.
Caleb Farish, 18 points, all of them coming on 3-point shots. So dangerous from outside the arc, and being 6'7", just an all-around scorer, returning starter for this team from that Final Four run. Showing the star he could be, especially at full strength. This team with Nick Farrar back could be one of the best in the country. Ellis making Amorose go onto the deck and finishing, giving the Quakers a 21-point lead. Ryan can't get it to fall, but he's staying with it again. Can't get it. There's Duncan. He gets fouled, and the first year that just checked in will be heading to the line.
And right now you can almost see it on the Generals' faces and the way that they're playing. It's frustration basketball right now, just forcing things inside. Obviously, really good job there getting the rebounds, but not really using the shot clock, not passing the ball very much at all. And it's a big reason why they find themselves down now by 21.
Zach Duncan, 5 for 6 on the year, make it 6 for 7. He'll make both ends of it. So the Generals are going to have to start cutting into this lead and cutting it into it fast. Farish to Edwards to Proctor. Proctor goes baseline. Colin Ryan rejects it as Proctor was pleading for a foul.
And the length of Ryan there really helping him out. Proctor got good position inside, but Ryan's size advantage, getting his arms up and over, and a nice block to prevent the easy layup.
What a play, and Farish trying to go up and under, but couldn't finish it. A beautiful out-of-bounds play drawn up by Coach Palambro. Colin Ryan almost gets double teamed, gets into the lane and just can't finish. Last couple of possessions, Colin Ryan hasn't been able to find that touch in the paint.
And almost exclusively right now, the Generals are just going to Ryan, letting him kind of go to work. And that's not really the kind of player that he is, as we were talking about. Normally he likes to be a jack of all trades, rack up the assists, rebounds, and score when needed. But right now it's really being left up to him to carry the bulk of the load of the offensive side.
Shot from Luke Proctor can't go down. And it is going to be a foul on the floor. Zach Duncan going against Ellis. It looked like he was doing everything he could to box out Ellis, but still going to be tapped with the foul, even though Ellis went right over the top of him to grab the board.
And this half has just really been an example of how the Quakers' size dominance over the Generals. The first half, Generals were able to overcome it with some good play and some fast, aggressive play, but this second half has really just been a domination from Guilford.
It's going to be a 30-second timeout called by Coach Palombo. Loose ball foul, almost inserting an entirely new lineup. Can't tell who the 5 will be on the floor. There's about 7 players in the huddle. For Coach McHugh's squad, what can you do to get back on track here, Shane, both offensively and defensively?
As I've been saying, it really comes down to some patience on the offensive side of the ball, using Ryan as an option to score offensively, but obviously he is not your main guy. He's really a guy who scores around the rim and close to the hoop, trying to stretch the floor a little bit again, get some outside looks, get somebody else involved, and a lot of that will carry over into the defensive play. You build some confidence, you go down and you score some points on offense, and it'll give you the drive, the motivation to really put that effort back into the defensive side of the ball like we saw in that first half.
The loose ball foul will bring Chase Ellis to the line. Ellis, traditionally the best 6-man in the ODAC, but with Nick Farrar out tonight, Chase Ellis inserted into the starting lineup, and he's done fantastic job all around. 13 points on 6 for 8 shooting and leading the team with 8 boards, but he can't find the front end of the single bonus free throw. Ryan finds Amorosi backdoor, and Amorosi goes over Proctor to finish.
That's exactly what I was talking about there. Ryan, the good quick play. Amorosi, a good cut. Ryan passing the ball right to him, and Amorosi finishing nicely.
Amorosi on the defense, and he'll be tagged with a foul from behind.
Amorosi there, he got ball, but it looked like his other hand there clipping the side of Furr, sending him to the line for 2.
Now Furr at the line. Can't misses the front end, and that'll make the Quakers 2 for 8 from the free throw line on the day. We've got double bonus free throws coming for the rest of the way. The Generals will be in single bonus after the next foul.
For both teams really have not been putting on a free throw clinic. Both shooting right around or under 40% on the day. Definitely not ideal for either side.
Amorosi can't miss the little bunny step back fadeaway from the near side mid-range. Now it's going to be Farish. He distributes to Bobby Samples, who finds Caleb Furr. Out for Gabe Proctor, and Gabe Proctor loses it, gains it back, and then is fouled, and now he's going to the line. It's going to be another foul on Colin Ryan, and that's his 4th of the day. Have to see how Coach McHugh wants to play it. 7:56 left. His best player all around, best distributor, really the one who initiates the offense. It's 4 fouls. Thomas set to check in. And it's going to be for Zach Duncan. Looks like Coach McHugh is going to let Colin Ryan play with 4 fouls.
You got to think that's going to take away some of his aggressiveness on the glass and on the defensive side of the ball. He's a very active defender, likes to use his hands, but with those 4 fouls, he's got to be careful.
Caleb Furr has 3, and really the only other, actually Amorosi has 3 in addition. So both your bigs have it. Here's Fagan, but he can't find it once again. How about that from Colin Ryan? It's going to be a foul on the floor. Called on Gabe Proctor.
And you got to see Ryan there still understanding how to be involved despite his fouls, getting in there, getting a tough rebound after some good ball movement, but the miss from Fagan, and he'll get another chance at the line.
Bonus free throws for Colin Ryan. Went 0 for 2 in his last trip. Can't find the front end of this one either. Colin Ryan draws the charge. And how about that from your best player, your best big, with 4 personal fouls. Taking a big risk there. You can't afford a flop warning. You can't afford a blocking foul, but somehow gets the charge call to go his way.
Yeah, Ryan is so experienced with that. We saw one of those in the first half that he was able to take, and he does it again there, understanding the size disadvantage that he has, but how to use that to leverage the situation and draw the foul.
Ryan loses it, gains it back, finds Breeden in the corner. Can't knock it down. The Generals' three-point shooting has gone cold in this second half.
Coach Palombo now issuing some urgency for his offense.
How about that from Caleb Furr? That's one way to respond to your coach, nailing a 3 right in front of the bench. The lead is back to over 20 once again for the Quakers. Thomas finds Amorosi going baseline, and it's going to be out on Amorosi. Right idea from Thomas. Just a lot of traffic there. Couldn't thread the pass.
The Quakers just really do a great job of putting so much pressure on the Generals, and we've seen it time and time again. There's been possessions or a good chance or good opportunities available, but too many people crowding the area and forcing turnovers.
Colin Ryan going straight up. Isn't called for the foul, and it's going to go out of bounds. Coach Palombo is fired up.
Yeah, normally when two players go up like that and there's contact in the air, some sort of something will be called, whether it be an offensive or defensive foul, but the officials swallowing their whistles there, saying everything was clean.
Duncan now running the point for Washington and Lee. A.J. Thomas asking for the ball. Thomas has been the Generals' most efficient scorer today, but Colin Ryan getting an easy layup look. Now he's got 9.
Colin Ryan's really been effective at getting to the rim today. Not necessarily the most efficient shooting performance, just about 40% from the field, but he's really been active and one of the best Generals offensive players today and overall players that we've seen.
Finney will be tagged with the foul on Sample, who is waiting for the entry pass. Send Sample to the line for double bonus free throws. Still 5:33 left in this second half. It just seems like the Generals can't find anything defensively at this point. Colin Ryan out. Joe Ryan back into the game. Joe Ryan only played 3 minutes before checking in right now. Looking to make an impact. Thomas at the top of the key. Finds Duncan. 11 left on the shot clock. It looked like there was some counting down from the Guilford bench that might have gotten to Duncan, but he gets back to the free throw line anyways.
Yeah, he absolutely fell for that. Still 10 seconds on the shot clock, but going up for a tough little mid-range. Fortunately got bailed out with the foul there.
Duncan 2 for 2 in his earlier trip, but misses his third attempt of the day. Furl is out. Proctor back into the game.
And the free throw woes just continue to mount for both sides. Now 6 for 14. The Generals and only 6 for 13. The Quakers are.
How about that from Ellis? He tried to go over Finney, but couldn't knock it down. We might just have to take a look at the athleticism on that. It sent the Guilford bench, really wanted that play to go down. Joe Ryan pleading for a tip on Farish, but he won't get it.
Yeah, Ellis on that other play just got up, elevated, unable to finish on the dunk there. Almost sent this crowd and that Guilford bench into a frenzy.
But take a quick look at it. Guilford dribbled it over the half-court line. Ellis just getting downhill, going up on Finney, but couldn't knock down the dunk. He checked out as they're going in for Farish now. Here comes Farish, and he's going to get an and one. That'll be on Colin Ryan, and it's his 5th foul of the day. Struggles continue for the Generals, and now their best all-around player, their maestro of the offense, is going to have to go take a seat with his 5th personal foul.
It's always the risk you run with having him out there. There's just chances where it's a foul is unavoidable, and we saw one there. A great finish, though, from Farish.
Who else but Caleb Farish? 20 points, 7 for 10 from the field, 6 for 7 from 3. Absolute scoring clinic as Amorosi will go right at him. Kicked out to Ryan. Amorosi back, going straight at Farish. 4 on the shot clock, trying to go up, and he just doesn't have the angle.
Guilford just really frustrating the Generals on offense, and you can see it on Amorosi's face there. Just really nowhere to go and blocked by the rim.
Fagan will dribble it over half court. Breeden set to check in, and it's going to be Coach McHugh's full timeout. 66-42 here between the number 24 team in the nation in Guilford College and Washington and Lee Generals. We'll step aside. So we got the home stretch here on the other side of this break on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Back here in Holekamp Gymnasium, on the campus of Washington Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. So we've got the last 3:42 of the matchup between the number 24 Guilford College Quakers and the Washington and Lee Generals in an ODAC conference play. Thanks for joining us so much on the Washington Lee Sports Network. I'm Kaden Buss, joined by Shane Riley and Bryce Breeden. Knocking down a 3 and continuing his hot shooting. 3 for 5 on the day from out of the arc. And he's proving what he can be for this General squad, a young player that can certainly shoot it.
And you got to think as the season continues to go on in deeper into ODAC play, that Breeden will continue getting more and more minutes and hopefully more and more looks like that from beyond the arc.
How about that from Edwards? Loose ball, and he has the wherewithal to call a timeout on his own. He wasn't even relying on Coach Palombo. It's going to be a 30-second timeout from the Quakers, as Edwards just fighting for every possession. 21-point game, but you can tell what it means to both sides. Every possession matters, trying to battle, and the Generals trying to find something that works, looking for different players. And maybe they found something in Bryce Breeden over his last 2 games. He's got 9 points and 3 for 5 shooting today. And then on Wednesday against the number 8 team in the country, Hampton-Sydney, Bryce Breeden was able to put together a performance. 5 for 7 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3 with 15 points and 5 boards. So the young stars continue to emerge for the Generals. Connor Amorosi has 10 already today. 4 for 10 from the field, but 2 for 2 from 3. That's been the big question mark about his game. Certainly prove he can score on the inside, and he's the best interior presence for the Generals, but only 25% from the three-point arc. Small sample size, trying to stretch the floor, but 2 for 2 will just help his percentages out and really help him figure it out.
Yeah, being thrown in as the top scorer as a first year as well, you got to think, has also affected his play a little bit, and maybe a bigger role than he was possibly expecting at the beginning of the year, but still working through it and trying to find his shooting touch.
Into the game for the first time tonight, it'll be rival Axel. Proctor hoists a 3 and can't get it to fall. Gordon will run. Gordon's another guy trying to find it along with Joe Ryan. He certainly has range from the outside. We've seen him make some threes from nearly the parking lot. Zach Duncan will be tagged with a foul, almost looking intentionally.
And it is the case for a lot of these Generals, especially the younger Generals, first years, and some of the sophomores on this team, just trying to work through their shooting motions in game, because it's obviously so much different when you have a defender right in front of your face. They have the ability to make them. They just need more game reps. And obviously, that's what they're getting now. It's very important that they keep taking those shots and keep building the confidence to make them as the season progresses.
For the first time tonight, the final 2 first years that'll check in are going to be Ari Hobson and Cohen Locklear. Bryce Breeden and Joe Ryan off the court. There's going to be a free throw violation now, as you see Proctor laughing, happy to exit. The starters for Guilford's day will be done. Proctor off, and instead it's going to be Cody Clayton, rival Axel. Edwards still out there, Bobby Samples, and Chauncey Sumter. Duncan going into the paint, can't get anything against Edwards, but battling for a rebound, and it's going to stay Generals ball. Ari Hobson, a little bit of a shove, gets a clean look, but can't knock it down just outside of the paint. Bobby Samples going for a Clayton. Back to Samples. Samples nailing some crucial threes in the first half to just separate Guilford. Edwards left wide open and drains a 3. This is the story of the night. 13 made three-pointers for Guilford to the Generals 7. Guilford has shot him at a higher clip than usual. 34 attempts on the night, but still amazing efficiency. When you consider they're almost shooting better from the three-point arc than they are at the free throw line.
Yeah, that's a big reason why they have such a big lead in this game. They've hit quite a bit more than the Generals, and they've shot them at a better clip as well, which is obviously, as I said, a huge factor in their lead. And as we talked about earlier on the broadcast, they are one of the top three-point shooting teams in Division III hoops.
Locklear, tacks, kicks to Finney. Can't find it from downtown. CJ Cormack now into the game, along with Ryan Jaworski. And Duncan will be tagged with another foul. It's going to be his third already in limited action tonight. Cody Clayton at the free throw line. One for three on the year, as he missed the first. Finney got a box out, and it somehow comes all the way back to him. It's going to be a tie-up that will go towards the General sideline.
Yeah, free throws just continue to be a problem for the Quakers. And also been a huge problem for the Generals. Really one consistent thread between these two teams is both have struggled mightily from the free throw line.
Hobson loses it off his foot. Hobson trying to poke it away from CJ Cormack. Riley Axel. Pull-up jumper from the elbow, can't get it to go. But what about that from Chauncey Sumter? Showing off how good he can be as 6'3" freshman from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Generals have really racked up the fouls in this second half. Continue to send the Quakers to the line. 17 total personal fouls against the Generals, and we had about 5 in the first half.
Sumter misses the front end of it.
Or my apologies, there we had 2 in the first half. 15 personal fouls in the second half. It's Quakers that had 5 in the first half.
Clayton getting into the lane, going against Hobson. Hobson almost fouled him there, and what a finish there from Cody Clayton. 33 seconds left. This might be the last possession. The Generals see it. Going to Duncan in the corner, trying to find Hobson on the cut. Right idea. Just poked away, out of bounds. 28 seconds, 24 left on the shot clock. Probably the last shot of the game. It'll be a Finney from 3. He nails it. See what CJ Cormack wants to do with it. 21 seconds, shot clock off. Dakota Gordon coming up, applying some pressure. We'll see if Cormack wants to attack, and he will. Gordon strips him. It's going to stay with Guilford.
And you got to think Guilford here should just run the clock out. It's a huge 24-point lead. Absolutely no chance the Generals have to come back into this game. Looks like they're just goofing around now with the ball.
Turning the ball over, and the Generals will get another chance at it if they want to make this look a little bit better. Young players trying to vie for opportunities. Every opportunity counts. It'll be Gordon from the corner, and he'll knock it down. And a little bit of a bright spot with back-to-back threes from the Generals to close out. Gordon going against CJ Cormack, having a little bit of fun in the corner. And the final score is going to be 72 Guilford College to Washington and Lee 51. Really, from start to finish, you could tell Guilford was a more talented team. They come in off of a Final Four run. But the Generals making it a little bit difficult with them, particularly to end the first half. What do you see in this one, Shane?
Yeah, the Generals, they did a good job in that first half, starting off slow with that 10-0 run and fighting back to get within 4 points, but just unable to really keep the consistency going from there. They ended up being down by 12 at the half, and for Guilford, it was just more of the same in the second half, knocking down the long ball and playing some tight, good physical defense, forcing the Generals into tough shots and building their lead and end up getting the 21-point victory.
Guilford ending the half so strong and then starting the second half so strong to really put this game out of reach. The Generals had it within one possession to go to end the first half in the final 2.5, 3 minutes or so. Guilford extended their lead to 12, then the Generals just couldn't score to begin the second half, and that's a theme we've seen with this team. Maybe defensive adjustments from these elite opponents on the other side have something to do with it. But you got to think, especially after going into the locker room, drawing some plays up, you'd like to start those second halves better.
Yeah, they're really just not getting into their kind of offense. They find themselves maybe giving up a few points on the other end of the floor, and then that frustration carrying over into their offensive side, playing not as a team, playing a little impatient, playing hero ball, if you will, one player just going right to the cup as opposed to moving it around, trying to find some better looks where they try to generate their best offense from, and sometimes they just get away from that. But as a young team, those kind of things happen, and it's something they have to continue to work through as the season continues to progress.
Moving forward, Guilford College currently sits in that 5 slot in ODAC standings right now, climbing their way up, but they've got a much easier stretch of a schedule coming up. They play Mary Washington in a non-conference matchup to begin a 3-game homestand. Then they play Shenandoah and Lynchburg. Shenandoah in that 11 seed. Lynchburg, solid team, nothing to mess with, but you certainly got to think that Guilford's favored in that one. And they only play Hampton-Sydney one more time, who they already beat. So you realistically could say that this Guilford squad could run the table to end ODAC play. For the Generals, they're ending this brutal stretch of 3 home games where it started last week Wednesday against Virginia Wesleyan, who currently is in that 4 spot in the conference. Then they played Randolph-Macon and then Hampton-Sydney, who they have to have felt really good. And here today stops with Guilford College. There's some young fans down on the court excited, but the Generals then go to Eastern Mennonite University, Lynchburg, Bridgewater, Shenandoah, and Ferrum, all very winnable games before rematching this Guilford squad team back in coming up in February at their place. So very winnable stretch of games on both sides, right, Shane?
Yeah, you got to think that these last 2 games for the Generals have taught them a lot about their team moving forward, and having some of those easier games coming up will be a nice break. Obviously, all the teams that they're facing are teams that they could easily fall victim to and lose to as well, so they got to keep their focus, keep moving forward, take what they've learned from these last few games. They kept them close. They've done better, as obviously, than last week what we saw against Randolph-Macon, but they got to keep moving, keep building, keep moving forward, and keep building for the future.
You have to just be so happy at the way your first years have dealt with this, especially their performance on Wednesday against Hampton-Sydney. Now trying to bounce back, playing a tight first half against a really good Guilford squad, just rebounding, punching back, not giving up. And that's what you love to see out of your first years, as both teams are going to be vying for a spot at the end of February in the ODAC tournament. And then, of course, the ODAC, always such a powerhouse for basketball. Final score here is 72 Guilford, 51 from the Generals. Caleb Farish led the way for the Quakers, 20 points, 6 for 7 from 3, 7 for 10 from the field. 11 points from Luke Proctor, 13 points from Caleb Ellis, who was inserted to the starting lineup for the first time in the season. For the Generals, Colin Ryan had 9, 8, and 3 assists. Connor Amorosi led the way with 10 points. A.J. Thomas had 8 points on 2 for 3 shooting. Bryce Breeden continued to show that he could be a first year that could develop into a sharpshooter for this General squad. 9 points, 3 for 5 from the field. 3 for 5 from 3, I should say. 3 for 6 from the field, but showing that he could develop into something. Thanks so much for joining us on the Washington Lee Sports Network. That'll do it from here in Holekamp Gymnasium on the campus of Washington Lee. Thanks so much once again from my partner, Shane Riley. I'm Kaden Buss. Final score here tonight, 72 Guilford College, 51 Washington Lee.